Welcome to the Gospel Works podcast, where we talk about the intersection of faith and work. I'm your host, Aaron Giesler, here with just a good co-laborer in Jesus, my friend Josh M., and we have a special guest, Ryan Doyle.
Thanks for having me.
Man, thanks for coming on, and we are excited to do another interview. So Ryan, you own a business. Can you tell us about, give us the name of your business and what you do and maybe how you got into that business?
Yeah, we have a grocery wholesale company here in Albuquerque, New Mexico called Intrepid Wholesale. We started it about 10 years ago. Actually, 10 years ago next month will be our anniversary.
Well, congrats. Dude, 10 years is a big deal.
Really excited to celebrate that because it took lots of sleepless nights and pain and suffering.
Starting a business isn't just easy?
No.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't prepared for any of that. We're excited about that. And God's grown it the whole time. He's been there. We have, since day one, we've been profitable. And
Whoa.
We're
Did
so
you start it
grateful for
from
that.
scratch?
Yeah, so the crazy story is very much a God story and how this company started. Let me just back up a little bit. My dad ran a large grocery chain here in New Mexico. He was the president of it, and his boss, the CEO, says, "Hey, I'm going to buy this grocery wholesale company. How would you, do you think your son would be interested in working there?" I was lugging cases of milk at a dairy here in town, and I was just starting college. I was 21, and so I started working there. He bought it, and I was interviewing I didn't know what I was doing. They put me in interviewing employees who are afraid they're going to lose their job, and I'm trying to look stern and serious and professional. And looking back, man, those poor people were like, yeah, they were worried they were going to not be there the next day. So, I rose through the ranks, and I started in purchasing and went into sales and started doing headquarter calls on the big chain. And I got into the brokerage business, and I ended up, being vice president of purchasing. I worked there for 30 years. So racking up
30 years.
30 years.
Man,
yeah.
That's a full career.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, most people are like 30 years. It's because I started when I was like 21. So why do you look so young? I guess. But here's one thing. This is kind of the crux of the story and how God took my journey in that company and just you could just see how he takes all these things for the good. So, the CEO of that grocery company, the owner. His son had come in as well, and he was going. He had been working in Mexico City at a frozen company. So we started together at the same time, and his dad, the owner, said, "Hey, I see you and my son running this someday." And I was like, "Wow, isn't that cool?" I was even on I'm a 21-year-old. I'm on some high rise in Albuquerque where you can see the whole city, and they're signing papers to buy this business. I was like, this is just awesome. So, so I took that and I just ran with it my whole time there. I learned every single department. I learned how everything worked. And as I got older and I wanted to see some of that come to fruition as we were growing, new people came in. And I got promoted to vice president, and so did our sales manager. So I went to him, and I'm like, "Hey, we can let's work together and transform this company." And I was telling my mom when I got promoted, and she's like, "Ryan, I think what they're doing is they're seeing where the cream rises to the top, who's going to be the one."
Oh.
And I was like, camaraderie,
Right. We're team.
Yeah. So that was a little wake up call. She was right. It turned out she had been around my dad a lot of years. She knew business. And so they ended up promoting the other gentleman instead of me to running it. And I had been, so through this process of all these years, I had the respect of all my peers. I was in meetings, staff meetings, and I knew the most about the company. Whenever they needed something, even people who were above me would come to me and ask me. It was really nice because I had worked hard to be where I was at with that knowledge. And I would have some terrible experiences with one person in particular who would come in.
There's always the one.
Yes, and he was very much a tyrant and would focus on me in meetings, and he'd walk into the meetings. He was the head of everybody on the management team, and he would just single me out and belittle me in front of all my peers. I mean, it would just crush me right publicly. And it was brutal. I tried for years to leave that company. I prayed about it. I put my resume out. I had friends that were working in places looking for purchasing, and I was like, this is the one. God's going to come through, and didn't get that job. And I was like, man, I don't understand. Like, I'm just, and then, the other gentleman got promoted. We keep moving on, and suddenly they shut the door on me in terms of what's going on in the company, because I was always involved in the top,
Oh, so right. So after 30 years, you're shut out.
Yeah, now I'm shut out of like direction and all the strategic things. I'm just sitting there in my office, still doing my job, which I really liked because I liked the people I was working with. And so, they overextended themselves and bought some grocery stores, and they were only doing wholesale grocery. They bought some grocery stores, and those stores just started bleeding cash out of the company, like
they weren't ready. They weren't ready to run those.
They didn't really know how to do it. They weren't ready to run them, and they, like equipment costs, like their whole freezer goes out of grocery store. Their $20,000 comes out of our company to get new freezers, and eventually, like, I'm in purchasing, and I have big vendors saying, I can't ship you. You're on credit hold, And we were having meetings, cash flow meetings, and I could see that we were in some serious problems as far as like having enough cash to run. And we all knew it, everybody. So the management was like, look, I know we have a rebate coming in at the end of the year. It's not enough. Like it'll fill the hole a little bit. The next day we're just going deeper into the hole. So they decided to just tell them, look, if we close this company now, they were telling the ownership, the manager, the executive management, if we close this company now, we can pay everybody out with all their accrued benefits and pay, our largest vendor. Some other vendors, they just, they got hurt, unfortunately, but that's what they ended up doing. And that next Monday, they called everybody in. People are crying, and it was a pretty sad day.
Sure,
yeah.
Man.
So I'm like, I'm sitting out there. I had a pretty good career, but I had no college degree, and that was part of what held me back, I think.
Oh, okay.
When I'm applying places, and so I'm like, it's tax time. It's April, and I go to file my taxes, and I tell my accountant, I'm like, I have the knowledge to run this. I'm just going over what just happened to me.
Yeah, you're still decompressing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Wow.
And he's like, well, let me make a phone call,
Accountants know people that are always looking for something.
Yeah.
Looking for investment opportunities. And
I had no idea that was going to happen right there. So he makes a phone call. We start on this little, we start having meetings. I start working on, I'm really in conversation with the people that are still winding down our company. I'm like, hey, I want to buy a couple trailers. Hey, I want to buy some pallet jacks. Hey, and I start building that. Plus, I'm trying to build an ordering app. I have our sales, a guy from our sales guy from our company. I went and met with him at Starbucks. I was like, hey, I think I'm going to try to build something here. You have the connections, the people. Let's start calling them. So he's in my kitchen calling customers. I have our old receptionist in my kitchen also calling customers, and I'm out trying to like run around and build things up.
So you're checking out all the liquidation sales of for stuff you need.
Yes, and buy and I was trying to get access to our old computer system, and our competition went and pulled all the plugs out of it because they got into that room, and the competition was out there signing up all these stores, and it was going so fast. I knew I had barely, if I didn't do it like within 2 weeks and keep it quiet that I was doing this, the whole thing would fall apart. It wouldn't work.
Right.
So it was a whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind. I had to do it really fast.
On top of grieving.
On top of grieving, yeah. And those were some hard times. My wife was very much the reason I made it through them because she was very supportive.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I forgot the most important part. We actually had prayed, should we start this? And I had never seen this in my spiritual life, but we were praying over scripture in Jeremiah, and everybody always asked me what it was. It was in her devotional the next day, like the next day.
Yeah.
Wow. That was just like, that was so cool. We're like, okay, let's go.
Where you just get encouragement in places you would have never expected or thought. Or
yeah, absolutely. So it's cool to see how God redeemed that whole story and those hard times through my life. And I'm thinking, hey, I'm building my career so I can lead this company, when instead of he gave me something better. Yeah. Like, no, it's going to be your company.
Yeah, you're going to lead. You'll have full control.
Yes. Yeah, you're not working for somebody else anymore. So that it just makes my hair stand up on my arms just telling that story.
That is so encouraging. Now, you're not only do you run a very successful grocer, you're maybe the best drummer in Albuquerque. So,
oh, geez.
No. So tell us about your faith is very, very important to you. Tell us about your faith journey.
My faith journey. Okay. Well, I grew up Catholic. Right through, I was an altar boy. I went to Catholic school for a while, not the whole time. I was in my dad, we followed his career. He was in the grocery business as well. And the way you're really going to move at retail at that level is, hey, Albertsons opened up this position over here. You got to move to San Antonio.
Yeah, regional management, corporate management.
Yep. You got to be able to, if an executive position opens up in North Carolina, you got to move there. So we did. And honestly, I think it was really good for our family as far as getting used to different cultures, meeting new people. When I moved here, everybody in North Carolina thought I was moving out of the country.
Yeah, you need a passport to move to New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah. And I was kind of confused about where New Mexico was at first myself. So, my
daughter was like, when we moved here when she was 5, and she said, "Dad, I don't even speak Spanish." I was like, "You're okay, baby."
Yeah, who knows? Nobody knows anything about this state, really. But, in 6th grade, we just suddenly stopped going to church. And Matt and I, my brother, we were like, yes,
finally, we get some free weekends.
Yeah, exactly. So, we were, nobody said anything, and we didn't, and we found out later. It wasn't
like a big issue. It was just kind of you quit.
Yeah, we did, and there was a lot of this stuff in news about the Catholic Church at the time, and my parents just kind of pulled the plug on it.
Yeah,
they were. So later, my brother, I guess, fast forward to 2000s, early 2000s. My brother marries this woman. She's a strong believer.
Yeah.
And he gets saved. And then my dad, he goes to a Promise Keepers event with my dad.
Oh.
My dad, he's like, I'm giving my life to the Lord, but I want to do it with your mom. So, he waits, they go down and give their lives to Christ. And then they invite me to men's retreats, and I was going to the Catholic Church with my family at that point. So I always felt God, like he was always right there with me, and I knew it. But I was like, I'm good. I'm going to church.
I'm expressing my faith. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they asked me the question at the men's retreat. Hey, if you died today, do you know for sure you go to heaven? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really put too much thought in. And then God brought me through a time in my life right around 2006 where I was kind of like, man, just everything wasn't working in my life. And that's what I needed, to realize I needed him, because he was like something I could access, but it wasn't really, the
it
center.
personal?
Yeah, and personal. So yeah, in 2006, I went and got baptized. I answered an altar call at Calvary, and they had a guest speaker there, and it changed my life. Best thing I ever did.
Man, so what year did you start your company?
10 years later, 2016.
Okay, so and when you went in on faith, like you sound like a guy that you just kind of go all in, kind of on whatever you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether again, casual drumming, no, thank you. I'm going all the way. Like faith, I'm going all the way in. Grocery bit, like all the way in.
Yeah.
Like even you're talking about in your job for 30 years, you knew everything about the grocery business. Like they stuff you didn't have to learn, you were learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had, another guy that was actually a guy that that went to this church. A guy named Bob. I hired him. He worked for me. And he was a strong believer. Yeah. He said, "Hey, let's start a prayer group here." I was like, "Well, let me go ask, And they were like, "Fine, just, none of the people there were really believers. So we would pray in my office. It was me and about 3 other people from our company and Bob. And I was, Catholic at the time. And he was asking me questions about, all kinds of things about the Bible. And I'm like, well, I don't know that I believe all those stories,
Yeah.
But which is funny just to think back now.
Isn't that, you're like, man, that was me, but that was like a different me.
Yeah, it totally was. So he was really pivotal, I think. God used him a lot. And another lady, when I told them one day in that prayer group that I give my life to the Lord, she like screamed. And she's like, "I've been praying so long for that." And I was like, "Wow, I didn't even know you were doing that. So thank you for that." So
man. So 10 years of being committed, 2006 to 16, very committed to your faith. How does that influence how you run your company?
Well, I think it's been a journey for me, because just until I would say very recently, I tried to do it all in my own strength. Yeah. Like, I would pray about it, but I was like, I got to work hard. I got to do this. Like it's, I never could let go and let God. I couldn't do that because I want to drive and push. And, there was a lot of stress. There was, my kids are both involved, so that brings a whole dynamic different, because you want to be the boss and the dad, and then everybody's confused when are you boss, when are you dad, and it's a strain on relationships. That all these things I've had to learn. I definitely wasn't ready for the stress of the job, and how I reacted to stress. So now I've just come to this place now where I don't have to worry, like, hey, if it dies tomorrow and God's got it. I'm not worried about it anymore.
How do you get to that point? Because that's,
I think you have to do it. It's like an on purpose choice, right?
Okay. And
I think it's, I realized trying to hold so tightly to it. And, you feel like, I don't know how everyone else feels who owns businesses.
Just talk for you, yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I'm holding out so tight, like, man, it'll slip through my fingers, like, because you always feel like you're just one bad day from ruin like, it's just really how it is.
But you talked about the grocery industry. It's small margins, it's tight deadlines. Even if you're delivering, like with retail, you deliver a shirt to Walmart, it doesn't go bad.
Right.
But you deliver bananas.
Oh yeah.
You're a month late on bananas. Like those aren't good bananas anymore.
That's right. Yeah. And there's not a lot of margin to overcome all those things.
Yeah. When I'm buying stuff, when I'm buying eggs, for 89 cents or 99, they've come way down even from the crazy price. But like, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how anybody makes money along that whole thing if I'm paying very little. It's crazy to think. Knowing a little bit about how the agricultural side works, you're like, wow, this is small margins from the top to the bottom. From the top to the bottom,
yeah. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And so it's a hard business. I know it's one of the hardest ones out there. Everybody I've seen in this business who leaves it and goes somewhere else, they thrive. They go to the top of wherever they go. I've seen it with, I can't tell you, countless people. So it's just a really tough business with some tough people in it, for sure.
What are some of your closest calls? You said, one mistake.
Yeah. I think in the early days, we employ CDL drivers. We do all tractor trailers, the long ones you see on the highway. So
refrigerated.
Refrigerated. Yep. And you have to be very skilled to drive that safely. And that the whole that whole trucking culture is kind of like a hired gun. They look at it, and it's just the way it is. But it's just, I'm hired to do a job, and if someone tomorrow gives me more, I'm going to work for them, And then, if that were to happen to me, I'll have a trailer sitting in the yard full of groceries that's not going to the people that it's supposed to go to.
Right.
So that, if you play that forward, it just snowballs really, really fast because the grocery store can't go, with it. By a week, their inventory is pretty much down, and people will notice a half full grocery store, and they can't make any money. So usually about a week to a week and a half, they'll just have to go somewhere else. And, then you lose that customer, all those customers on that route. So that was like my biggest for years when people are like, what can I pray for? Drivers. And that was some of the most painful times. So I've had, a driver call me, he's getting ready to, it was like 3 a.m. and
yeah, they take off early.
Yep. And he was like, I had all those early calls, and thank God past that, those sleepless nights and those early calls. But he's like, yeah, I left the keys here. I'm not doing this. I'm like, well, this is your first day. What happened? Like, I don't understand. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And just, I had a driver training a driver out in Bullhead City, and the trainer who was leaving kicked him out of the truck and left him on the side of the road and said, no, I'm not going back. I said, no, you need to go get him. And I'm having dinner with my wife and my brother and his wife, and I have to leave for like 30 minutes at like 9:00 and talk him into going back to pick the other guy up. And I mean, there's just crazy stories, but God was faithful and got us through all of that stuff, because there were many times you felt like it was the end,
Yeah, because I think people, groceries is one of those things I don't think about. It's like I go to the store and it's like it's all just there, and so so you purchase from other big who do you purchase from?
Yeah, we actually purchase from a large regional distributor. So in order to be a real grocery distributor, you have to have a 1 million square foot warehouse. You have to have about probably close to I'd say about $500 million in buying power in order to buy enough to compete with anybody else in town. And it's still, even if you have, the company we're buying from is over, they're close to $2 billion, and competing with, Walmart and Costco and Sam's is still hard for those guys,
Wow.
So it's hard. I don't even know how you could start it today and get it that big, really, on your own.
So, how many? Just say like in Albuquerque, how many other distributors are there like you? Like, because you're an independent distributor.
Yeah.
How many people do you have in competition?
Well, independent distributors, there's a few little ones. I can think of one that's like a medium size here, and then to answer the competition question, they're an international company, and they're also
like Cisco and Benny Keith and some
it's
of
actually
those?
Core-Mark International.
Okay, yeah.
So they're a C-store distributor.
Oh,
and they have a relationship with my supplier as well, and also so now I'm competing with them, which is really tough on an even playing field,
because they're a bigger company, they may get better pricing and better.
Yep. They have they can buy all their candy, snacks, all of those things they can buy in truckload. And the grocery business works in truckloads. So basically, you have to buy 42,000 pounds of something to get the best price. So it really keeps any little guys out. I mean, that alone, you have to have the volume in order to get the best price. So it's a chicken and the egg thing,
Yeah.
So they have buying power in the C-store world that's, pretty much unrivaled. They can compete with anybody. They're in truckloads, and anything you'll find in a convenience store, they're buying truckload bracket from every manufacturer.
Okay. So
we're a redistributor. We're a middleman. We're the guy everybody wants to cut out. Everybody wants to cut out the middleman. So
yeah,
we have a really hard time competing. So we do it on service. We do it on customer service.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, what sets you guys apart?
Yeah, that's really, and we work really hard on that and try to build it into our culture, and so our employees, it comes out at every level. Whoever they're talking to. We want our customers to feel taken care of, and we do costly things that a lot of distributors say they won't do,
So give us a couple of examples.
We've driven, 9 hours out to Quartzsite, Arizona to deliver some freezer paper, and we'll send a box truck out, also to Quartzsite, Arizona. That's kind of an important customer out there. They've had some times early on, some hard times, and we just were like, man, we don't want to lose them. We'll take care of them.
Quartzsite is not. Where is that? I don't even know where Quartzsite is.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours west of Phoenix. It's
wow.
It's a snowbird town. So
okay.
Yeah, in the summertime, the town's like 1,000 people, and then in the winter. In the wintertime, the town's like 20,000 people. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even they have seasonal buying habits.
Big time. Yeah.
So what made you be so customer focused?
Well, I think it came out of a need to hold on to the customers that we got. And I'm grateful, man, when I think back to the early days, there were a lot of people that had faith in me on the phone saying, hey, I promise I'll be able to get groceries to you. Just trust me, sign up with me. Don't sign up with the other guys. And, they did. And just roll back to this, I really want to make sure this is part of that story that our company was birthed was between April 15th when I was laid off, we shipped our first trucks on May 16th. So we built the whole thing God built the whole thing in 4 weeks, because nobody understands how we did that. Like
that's you can't replicate. Like a company couldn't replicate that.
No, yeah, really, I don't know how you do it and get set up with insurance and employees and to get all those, the HR pieces and all that. I mean, I had tons of help from people that just helped me out of the goodness of their heart. And
like that maybe wouldn't or shouldn't have maybe. I mean,
yeah.
Even that.
Yeah.
But you had spent so many years building goodwill in that business.
I think so. I had lots of contacts and good relationships with people. I think that's exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I absolutely. They weren't going to give me, trucking insurance for a guy that really had no trucking experience. That's the only part of the company. I never had a CDL. I didn't do a lot of that. I knew enough, about it, but I learned a lot more once I was doing it myself. But
did you have to get your CDL?
No,
okay.
I thought about it, and I contacted a trucking driving school, and I was like, I want to be able to fill any gap, and that's a scary one to not be able to fill, because you just can't even get them, not even in temps. There's a temp company out there and a couple of them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
They're always understaffed. So,
right. So when you think about customers in terms of in relationships in your business, how does your faith play into that?
Well, I think that's been part of the journey too. I don't think I handled the stress well in the beginning. I think I was holding too tightly and doing it in my own strength.
Okay.
And I think I've learned, 10 years of all these problems that seem like the end of the world. You seem like you're going down the next day, and you're still here. How did that happen? Not because of you, Ryan. So,
right. So the grip wasn't the thing that.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like, thank you, God, for getting me here. And, I trust you, whatever your plan is going forward, and thank you for, what you've done to get me through all those hard times. So, I'm grateful for that. I'm definitely working every day when I try to do it in my own strength to try to pull back and like, hey, I think what I'm trying to say when I talk about that is I take every single little thing very seriously because I want it to go. I just want to will it to go perfect. And every day there's just tons of disastrous things. Right. There's things that happen every day. Yeah. Like pallets on wrong trucks or reefers go down or missing freezer boxes. There's just a myriad of things that upset customers, and they're always going to happen. You try to minimize them, but as long as, through that logistic chain, that as long as there's people involved, there's just going to be breakdown. Like we're all infallible or fallible.
Yeah. Well, so about how many employees do you have?
We have 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, and then how many customers do you have about?
On the books we have 200, but they don't all order every week. Some of them order once a month.
You're talking 18 people trying to fill 200. The orders of 200 customers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room for error.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, just come back to that previous question about faith. One thing we did early on is I told my wife all the time, I need a mentor. I need a guy. Like, I want to make sure that people, when they think of me, that's Ryan, he loves Jesus, and I want them to know it. And, through my actions and how I treat them, and I think I'm pretty good about that. I try to be a fair manager. Everybody knows that we do things honestly, if
that's not common all the time in most business, in a lot of
I
businesses.
think it's easy for anybody to hedge on that. Right. It's just easy. It's a decision that you could easily say like, we got an extra case of meat or whatever. Put it in the freezer, put it in the cooler, whatever. Yeah. And, I want not only for them to know that this is the standard here, but, it also reverberates back to my supplier. Like if we get stuff that's uninvoiced from them, when I call and I'm missing a lot, I want them to know, because look, we have a good reputation of always sending back the things that you shipped us for free. So don't,
return the favor.
Don't criticize us when we have a large, or not so much criticize us, but
don't be suspect if we.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like you can trust us.
Yes, yeah, and I think that, I think that's actually been important since my dad made integrity was a really big deal with him. So even with, the faith journey we went through, integrity was right there all the time. And that was like a foundational thing in our family. So it went through my whole career, our other, my siblings as well.
Would you say that's a good part of your culture at Intrepid?
I hope so. Yeah. I think we try to deliver every time on what we say. We try to be honest with everybody, and I'll tell you what, everybody knows this in life, that it's way easier to lie to get yourself out of trouble. Usually being honest will get you in more. If that truck's running late and you're like, we had a flat, and he didn't have a flat, we don't do that. We don't do that. And people, if we're on a customer, hey, the driver broke down. If we were to do that, they'd be like, okay, what time's he coming? Because they're upset. They're mad already. But now if we are like, he overslept or something, they're not as understanding. If you're, there's a propensity to get out of situations by lying, and especially with both my kids. Like I told them I'm never going to ask you to lie, and it's harder to do business always that way. It definitely is.
You think Jesus has rewarded that?
I don't know. So I don't try to think about that too much.
Even just you sleep better.
Yes, I'm sleeping better.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean? Like some people be like, oh yeah. Like we talked with another guy who's like, yep, I did business fairly, and man, everything just flourished. But sometimes you do things fairly and you're punished because that's not how the industry works.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
And so, but it's like, but my conscience is clear.
Amen.
How many more dollars is that worth, you know?
Yeah, not any, right? I think he has blessed it. Yeah, I think I think the proof is there. We're still here today after 10 years. He's grown our company every year. We're still profitable. We're weathering the hard times in the economy that everybody is, and yeah, we're just really grateful.
So, what are some of your biggest issues that you face as a business owner?
I'd say, you know, when I think about what I worry about the most is just costs going up, you know?
Yeah.
The Albuquerque market for industrial real estate, especially what we need, there's a very big shortage of it. And only a few people are building in that space. And, you know, it's you know, those buildings are in the tens of millions of dollars to buy. So, you know, most companies like our size are going to have to lease, and then you're kind of at the will of the market and your landlord. Mm-hmm. So I would say, you know, that's probably the biggest. You know, we're coming up on a renewal of our lease, and I'm like, man, if he, you know, because our rent, we started right during COVID in the building we're in, and got I think a very good deal, which helped us grow. But then our rent doubled, and
wow.
Based on the market, when I'm looking, I'm like, man, could it double again? And like, it's hard to tell when I compare our buildings to others, but it would have, if you take a large 100,000 square foot state of the art building, yeah, it would be, that cost per square foot would be double what ours is. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but we'll see.
Sure. I mean, so that's just normal stuff, right? I mean, that's just like, I mean, everybody, you know, that's renting industrial space is looking at the same kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What else? What other issues you said you have going on?
Gosh, there's just, they kind of crop up every day. The ones I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And we're just always trying to be better. I think because of our size, we built our own computer system. So.
Oh, at y'all size?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which that's pretty rare, isn't it?
Yeah, and most people buy those ERP systems, they're called, those enterprise systems, and they're $60,000 and just way up. And we just haven't had the money to really like bite that off. And so, you know, like I said, I've had some really great friends that know code and have just been able to build to where we're at today. But we're to a point where we kind of grown, and like, I really need an inventory system. I need to know, you know, 10 years, honestly, do I know what's in our warehouse? Absolutely not. Which that's like,
when you're talking about slim margins, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Like if someone, you know, if I lost a case of anything today, honestly, I wouldn't know it was gone, unfortunately. And that just doesn't happen in the industry, at retail or in any business. So our goal this year is we really need an inventory system. It's caused us to really have trouble on our books on what's in and out now that we're moving to buying more from different vendors. And I think the other thing I was thinking of,
mention culture.
Yeah, well, culture for sure. Yeah. And, you know, I think what I was going to say earlier is I had we tried to bring in like servant leadership to show it. Like early on, we invited our employees to our house. We put some tables out in the grass, and we served them. And then we ate with them after. But we were trying to, you know, really bring that in. And that was just an interesting experience. You know, we've been struggling with that since the beginning, or I have, you know, on how to bring in faith. And I'm not even sure that was the last subject you asked me about. But
you're thinking about it. So like, explain more, like why that, like where, like what you were trying to create and kind of what happened as a result.
Yeah. So, you know, I think, you know, I just realized I always wanted to, my heart is for what God's built here is just to be able to help people in whatever situation, right? Like someone I really look up to that I know that owns a large business in town. He's done very well. He's very successful, and he had. And you never know he's doing these things. When you look at his life, you don't see that he's had a lot of money, but he knows a lot of poor people in small communities that he grew up with, and he'll pay for like people's funerals like all the time. And you don't know he's doing it. It's very much, the Christian
sounds like
way
no
of
one
giving.
knows he's doing it hardly.
Yeah, no one knows it. And I was like, that is so cool to be able to, find a need and help somebody out. And, I pray God puts those in front of me when those come up. But that's kind of where we're at, I guess.
That's hard to build a culture like, it's kind of a catch-22 when you're trying to build a culture like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I don't tell anybody. I just do it.
Right.
But then if you don't tell anybody, then nobody knows.
Yeah. And I guess the culture I was go back. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around to get back to the culture question was, I think I just want everybody to really enjoy their job and look forward to coming into work, because when I started the company, all the things I didn't like about where I worked, our phone list was in the pecking order of the company. So the CEO's name at the top and all the way down. And then the outboard, in and out board we had when you walked in, like who's in, who's out, same thing. And I'm like, I'm looking for a person by name. Why do I have to be reminded everywhere I look of where I'm at? I thought that was so stupid. I said, we're getting rid of that. Put everything in alphabetical order. Heads of the table, I hate all that kind of stuff, kind of a round table that I just don't like. Everybody knows who the owner of the company is. Yeah. You don't have to have these seats of, I don't know.
Seats of honor.
Yeah, you just don't need to have that. I despise all that. So yeah, I brought that in culturally. But what I really like to see, that I'm struggling is just I want everybody to enjoy working together. Our business is a few people doing a big thing, and we're in a big office with a few people. So, gosh, you could go, I could go days without seeing somebody. So I'm really working on I'm going to start having some more meetings, try to build some camaraderie. That's the culture challenge I'm having now.
Man.
Yeah.
It sounds very, so even just the stuff with you, talking about getting rid of the pecking order and making it alpha, like, to me, that just seems very faith informed.
Yeah. I think it's just, us all trying to walk in humility and keep that pride out of the way, And I try to be very sensitive to that in my life, and always not. I would hope that everybody who knows me knows, like, I always say that's why I picked the drums. I just want to be in the back. I don't want to be on the front. I'm not saying those people get glory, but I don't want to just keep that all away from me. I just want to be, hey, well done, good and faithful servant. He knows.
Well, no, even the fact that you are trying to model your life after. Because there's lots of people that do really well and they do really incredible things with their money, and some do things out front, and some do things in the private, and both are fine.
They are, yes, that's true.
But you're like, no, I want to do the secret funding of, helping people lay their loved ones to rest, and doing these things behind the scenes where nobody knows.
Yeah, I really like that, and I admire that, and I agree with you. And I wasn't trying to.
No. Yes. That's just what you're choosing.
There's some people doing some amazing things, and everybody knows they're doing them. I was just, we went to Kentucky recently, and then I was going to surprise my wife and go to see the big ark they built there. You know,
My mom said that's her favorite place to go see.
Really? Yeah. And it didn't work out for a lot of reasons, but. I was like, look what this guy's done, That's I think that's an example. Everybody knows who he is. It's all in the open when he say, yep, Ken Ham. And so you're right. I think God has me in this position doing this, and that's what I kind of intend to do, unless he wants me to do something different.
Well, and it sounds like too that you're so committed to that, because I know as a boss, the temptation is to. Because everybody laughs at your jokes, and everybody seems very willing, and your ideas are so great because you give them a signature every 2 weeks on that paycheck.
No, that's a serious problem, or that's a serious challenge to face, and I think I struggled through that because you start believing your own press.
Oh man,
then that pride steps in, and you're not. Wow, look what you've done. Like, people, especially who aren't believers and don't realize that, it wasn't me that really got this company to where it was. They're giving me all the accolades, and people I respect who, who, my CFO, she worked for Arthur Andersen, and she's been in big places. She's worked all over the world, and
she's choosing to work for you.
Yeah.
That's a little humbling, isn't it?
She's contract, so she's only there a little bit. But yeah, I really respect her opinion, and she's like, wow, you just can't appreciate what you've done. And I tell her, God built this, and what he's done has been amazing. But I think that's a battle all the time, that pride and people always, lifting you up, where we probably shouldn't be.
What somebody told me one time, I was like, well, I don't struggle with pride. I love it. I lean into it. I mean, and I know even as a pastor, oh my gosh, that was the best. And you're like,
yeah,
that wasn't the best.
Yeah.
I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm just trying to be obedient to God.
Yes.
But it sounds like you're doing a good job of creating. You're trying your best to create that culture where people are like, I love what I do. I'm not in it for me. I mean, I want people to just be happy with every part of what we're doing. Is that a fair?
That's fair. I think that it's more of a journey. That's where I want to be, and I'm starting to get into that. And I think it was more of a getting in and out of that, because I didn't always handle the stress levels. I mean, the stress levels are off the hook. They're really the worst part. And I met a guy. We were working with Roadrunner Food Bank a while back, and he owned a big apple juice company. And selling his apple juice all over the nation.
It's so crazy I can't even that's all, you sell apple juice.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
He wasn't a believer or anything. And I was like, well, why are you here, working at Roadrunner Food Bank? He was in their office, but he said, well, Ryan, I became a jerk at home. And he didn't say jerk, but I was like, now looking back, I can see, man, it's just so hard to bring all that back to your family and all the stress and not be on your best. We all know your family knows. I think I heard Jack Hibbs say recently, if you want to know what kind of man you're married to, ask your wife how he is at home. Yeah. And something to that effect.
Or don't if you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because you'll get a real answer.
Exactly. So, I definitely had a lot of bad days, especially when we were struggling, and just, it felt like tomorrow it was over. And I did not do a good job of acting like a Christian man. I would just let my frustrations down. I'm definitely a hard on my sleeve guy, I'm not throwing anything or anything, but I'm just like, I can't talk to anybody, what am we going to do? And that's where I realized, man, I'm trying to do it all through my own strength. And I didn't have to go through all those emotions, because God's got it,
Yeah.
So,
well, Josh, you've really dominated the conversation. Do you have any questions for Ryan?
Ryan, I've really appreciated just listening here for a moment, but it feels like letting go and letting God. Maybe it'd be good to hear you unpack what that means. What it sounds to me like is the same kind of thing as when Jesus says, whoever wants to be first among you shall be last. It's like a mindset shift as much as anything.
Right.
But it sounds like it has pretty profound implications, not just for business, but for life, huh?
I would say so. I think so for sure. The difference for me, having been in both worlds now, I know people in general, ask me how did you, because it's such and everybody kind of wants it. I know I did. I want to own my own business, and that's where I say, man, but just let me tell you about this other part, this stress part and stuff, and feeling like it's over all the time. But even before, I guess, I don't know, letting go and letting God. I'm trying to think of my previous career. Man, I would lock that door and I'd walk away, and I wouldn't think about it till the next day. But now you can lock your door. It's on your phone. It's waking you up in the morning. Those emails are coming. It's never ending. And I think it's a conscious effort when you feel that stress coming on. Oh, this is really bad. We could lose this big customer. They're really upset. You just have to step back, take a deep breath, and say and pray. God, take this. This, this situation. Please take it from me. You definitely can't do it in your own strength. I'm not saying that at all. Right. But throughout this whole thing, you stop and pray and you ask him to take this from you. But for me, it's like I like to carry things. I'm just really, I'm the best worrier out there. You guys, you won't know anybody that's better worrier than me.
It's good to be the best at something.
Yeah. So I've been working on that for sure.
It feels like, or maybe in my experience, it's like if you're not the boss, then you don't necessarily have to let God. You can let the boss worry about it. But once there's nobody up that you can even pretend to yourself is going to take care of it, and it's all on you.
I think
you
that's
know,
good.
in your mind.
Yeah.
It is a level up challenge on not being anxious and setting appropriate levels of boundaries and all those things.
No, I think you nailed it on the head. I think that's true. And
because like when you say let go, you don't mean like become apathetic, because you were the opposite of an apathetic person.
Well, there was a time where I was like, man, I don't even like going there. It's just bad things happen over there, you know, and I didn't even want to go, and I don't have to, you know, like I don't have to. It will still go. There's people in place to make the wheels turn, but you know,
and letting go doesn't mean you don't work hard.
No, absolutely.
You know what
not.
I mean? Like, so I think some people can hear let go and let God, just be like, oh, just, you know, just
Jesus take the wheel.
Jesus take the wheel. I'm gonna be over here watching YouTube videos and like, you know, putting around in the garden.
Yeah.
You're still. I mean, when you say you're letting go, you're still showing up. You're still making the phone calls.
Right.
But maybe it's like, but you're not trying to grasp it. You're not trying to like what you said. You're not trying to hold with both hands.
That's right. And do it in my own strength and be like, you know, and not consulting him and not asking him for help, you know.
Right.
I think I wasn't doing enough of that for sure. And you know, I have the experience. I know how to handle this situation or whatever, you know.
30 years in the grocery world, you know everything there is.
That's right, yeah. And I wasn't, of course, in the position where I'm not going to ask him. I'm going to do this in my own strength. It's just I was doing it, and I wasn't thinking about him a lot sometimes.
That was your default.
Yeah. And it just wasn't working for me, because I think if I was, he would give me that peace that I needed to keep me from feeling all this stress, you know. And it's not, you know, until, you know, these recent years that I've been really stepping back and looking at some of it, because it wasn't always like that. It was like an ebb and flow of things. Mm-hmm. But now I'm trying to be like 100%, you know, like you said, I'm not letting go of the wheel. I'm not apathetic, but I'm not going to let my emotions be overcome by situations. Right. Because when you're running it and you want everything to be good and it's not, and you get mad, you know, well, that's not helping anything, you know?
It helps as much as worrying about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Both being mad and being worried, Fix the same amount of problems.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked a lot about how God wants all of us to grow. And that particular thing, and I imagine it's similar to having a child or something. It's like you can study about being the boss or being the owner. You can study about being a dad or a mom. But until you're in there, you can't learn the lesson until you're in the seat.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's heartening for me to hear that there are Christian people who they're not abandoning the ship. They're willing to sit in the seat and try to learn the lesson, even though it's a very difficult one to learn.
Yeah. It is, and you don't feel like, you know, as a business owner, you can really cry on anyone's shoulder, you know, because
you got to be strong.
And people are going to be like, "Well, you're successful. What do you have to complain about?"
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But
you're a small business owner. You're rich.
Yeah, exactly. So I think whatever level you are in society, you know, in terms of success or finance, there's always somebody you think has it all together. But just know that, like, we all got problems and we're all messed up and trying to, you know, just do our best to get through the day, you know, have grace for everybody.
One of my mentors told me, he said, you know, whenever I worked for somebody, I had one boss. He said, as soon as I became the boss, I had 200 bosses.
Yeah.
And he said, that's a way big different. And he's like, had to get your mind wrapped around that.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I told you, I wasn't ready for all of that.
You're ready to go home on Friday and not think about it.
Oh man, there's a lot of peace in that. And that guy at Roadrunner Food Bank it was a deliberate decision he made, and I'm sure he was happier. But you just have to choose. I think the moral of the whole thing that I've learned is like, I just have to choose to trust God and lean on Him in all those situations. And then I don't have anything to worry about, you know.
So what's next for Intrepid?
Well, we're just trying to take the next step. We're really excited about being here for 10 years and God blessing our company. And we finally have an employee count that allows us some stability. Like I was saying earlier, having
your margins are a little bigger on the employees too.
Yeah. Our sales are better. The margins are about the same. They always stay the same, and I've never raised our prices, but we have to grow. That's the only way in the grocery business that you can really overcome everything's gone up since COVID. Like everything costs more. All the truck parts, everything costs more. So I just push. We got to grow out of it. We got to grow. So and we've been growing pretty well. We had a good year last year, and I think next, we just try to fine tune a lot of the things, like our inventory system.
Yep.
A lot of the things that we need to hit that next level.
Sorry. And when I meant margin and people, I meant you have enough people where people can provide a little backup.
Yes.
Like when you're down to 4 or 5 people, if one person's out, that's 25% of your workworkse.
Yes, I know.
It's
what you're
hard to
talking about.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
So with 18,
we're finally at a place where we have if a CDL driver were to leave today, I have 2 backups. Wow. So that, man, from going to 0 to 2 is that's like a huge leap in the right direction.
Yeah. So. I mean, it sounds like you have enough, warehouse people and stuff that, to load in, if one's out.
Yes.
It's not you.
Yeah. And there were days it was me. Yeah. There was long days it was me in the truck and me at night loading. We load at night and, walking out and the sun's coming up. And when I went in, it was up as well, And those days were hard, and they're good lessons for grit,
Yeah.
Like, hey, I can get through this, And because the only choice is, you don't, and that's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not. It's not. You don't consider that. You're like, who wants to be there?
No.
It's also miraculous that your previous job closed so quickly and well, because I know a lot of good people that lose their reputation as they try to hang in with a company that's been a little bit mismanaged. And I'm sure you took a lot of lessons from watching how that one bit the dust that really were also formative for you.
Yeah, we made sure our accounts receivable, so all the money that the customers use to pay us. One place we never hedged on, only a few times when customers, I knew who they were, they have a great track record, and they ask for terms like of 7 days or something. Other than that, we keep them very tight, and we don't mess around if someone doesn't pay us, because that's exactly how my previous company got in the trouble they were in.
Yeah. I've seen, being around people that own businesses and seeing them, some people, like your company was told, the financial people said, hey, if we do this, we can end well. And Josh and I both seen leadership teams. It's like, oh, the plane's going to crash. Well, let's see if we can crash it closer to the runway.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't do anything. Like, it's still a crash, guys.
I think that's the norm, actually.
But your guys went, no, we're just going to go now. Like, we can get everybody out. We can get everybody out safe. We can give everybody a parachute.
That was a valiant choice, falling on the sword like that, and it wasn't hard, and I still am in touch with those people, and I think it was great. It helped me bridge I had, I think, 8 weeks myself there, so I had 8 weeks to, of pay to keep supporting my family.
Yeah. And you were getting paid after, like, for a month after your first trucks went out.
Getting paid, yeah.
I mean, that's wild.
It's crazy. I thank God for making all that possible, and I'm grateful for sure.
Well, Ryan, can we pray for your business?
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll pray for your business, and thank you so much, man. This has been a joy, and it's encouraging me to hear God, how God works, and so
Amen.
Thanks for that.
Sure.
Let's pray. Father, we just thank you so much for Intrepid, and Father, we just pray for Ryan and his whole team. Father, we pray for another 10 years. Another 10 years of growth and success, Lord, of them taking care of customers, of them working with honesty and integrity, Lord. Father, thank you that they've gone out of their way to make the hard choices for your name and your renown, Lord. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, join us next time for the Gospel Works podcast. For Josh, I'm Aaron, and thanks to Ryan Doyle. We'll see you next time.